Perfect. Hello, everyone. We'll just wait a couple minutes for everyone to join. I can see people in the waiting room. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you everyone for joining today's session. I'm Vera from CloudTalk, and I will be your host today together with Josh, who's heading up the business development function here at CloudTalk. Josh is saying hi. And Peter, our principal product manager, who's actually the person that knows the most about voice agents here at CloudTalk. And as you already know, and some of you maybe even received a call from our voice agent right before this session, today's session is supposed to give you an insight into what voice agents are, how you can use them, where you can use them. And we're even going to build a voice agent live on this call. We're going to test it together so that you can see how easy it is to build one from scratch. We'll also give you an insight into our roadmap. Josh, who's part of the business development function, was actually one of the first testers of voice agents here at CloudTalk. So he's actually going to walk us through how he and Peter collaborated on how he thought about putting the first voice agent to test, because it was a new technology for us as well when we were testing it. And right before we go into the Q&A, because we are going to be answering some of the most common questions about voice agents, we're actually going to have a short quiz that's going to serve as a way for us to collect your answers and then do a little bit of a prize draw where we're going to gift a few of you with voice agent minutes. Just a couple of other things. There is a Q&A session at the bottom. Anna from the marketing team is joining us today as well, and she's going to be monitoring your questions. We already have collected a bunch of questions that people are asking for voice agents, but in case you have something that you're curious about, please drop your question in the Q&A, and we'll try to either answer it live or Anna will type it in the back end. Okay. Without further ado, let's begin. But before we go into the educational part, what we want to do is we want to have a short quiz with all of you. So if you haven't used Slido before, just go to slido.com, type this number or scan this QR code and join us so that we can have a bit of fun at the very beginning of the webinar. Okay. The quiz is going to be really, really simple. We'll just wait a couple of seconds for everyone to join. Basically, I'll play you a couple of samples, and you're going to tell us whether it's an AI or a person speaking. Okay, I can play it now. I think my dog is actually listening to it. Josh, you were saying no?
I'm not sure I heard that. It may just be for me.
Peter, am I having issues with the tech? You heard it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, let's try again. We actually went through this and it was all fine, but now it's... I know what the problem is. Just give me a second. Not the best problem to have. It's my AirPods. Okay, let's try one more time.
Auditory modeling to computer speech recognition.
That's what you get when you try to do it with headset. Okay, let's vote. Was this AI or was this human? I'll play it again.
We apply auditory modeling to computer speech recognition.
Okay. You have 20 seconds to answer. Let's see. 11 out of 13 have voted. Come on, more of you need to join. The QR code is right here at the top. Let's see what we think. This was actually a human, and a lot of people thought it's AI. we actually ran this internally, and most people didn't get it right. So let's go. Let's go with the second one.
We apply auditory modeling to computer speech recognition.
Okay. 20 seconds. Okay, number of people joining is going up. That's great to see. We have 2 more that need to vote. Okay. This was 50-50. This one was actually AI. This was really, really confusing for me as well because it has that, noise in the background as well. Okay, last one.
We apply auditory modeling to computer speech recognition.
Is this a sleepy human or an AI speaking? Okay, more people joining. Most of you have already voted, so let's go. You voted human. You got it right. Most of you got it right for this one. Okay, this was a fun little quiz. I don't know who me is, but well done, me. You got 3 out of 3 as well as John. So this was just a quiz just to show you how far the technology has come and how difficult it actually is to distinguish between a person and AI. And AI is actually advancing so quickly. But now that we have your attention, let's actually start the webinar and the theory part before we go into the practice. So what are voice agents? Will be really, really short and simple here. AI that can actually pick up the phone, make a call, receive a call, just like a human would, have the conversation to complete a specific task that you give it. The purpose of AI voice agents is to handle all those repetitive, high volume tasks, or maybe there are some tasks that are super time sensitive and you don't have actually the people or the resources to put right away on them. And it can either act as the first line of contact, or it can support human agents in your go-to-market motion. Voice agents are not like IVRs or phone menus because they are dynamic. So they basically understand when a person says something, they understand different intent, they can ask follow-up questions. And even if a human tries to derail the conversation, you can prompt it to bring it back to whatever the outcome is that you want to get out of it. And voice agents can even transfer calls if needed to a human. And what's really important is that the AI is as good as the information you give it. So just like any other AI, just like ChatGPT or any other tool that you're using that's AI, the better your prompt and the better the context that you give it, whether that's uploading your knowledge base or connecting it with your CRM or your system of record, the more personalized the conversation can be. So with all of that said, you can drop your questions again if you have more questions about what voice agents are. But Josh is actually going to walk us through why we need voice agents and why we need them today.
Thanks, Vera. So I think that problems that voice agent can solve is infinite, right? If you think of a problem where a human could make a phone call, voice agent can probably replicate that phone call in a more consistent manner at a larger scale. So I want to focus on 2 main problem solvers, which I think are most common, whether it's a 24/7 helpline or a lean sales team. I think the reality is that the phone remains the highest friction, yet most critical customer channel that exists in today's world. So the 2 that come to mind to me when I think of these things is the response delays that frustrate customers. I think at some point in time, all of us have experienced, oh, we'll get back to you in X amount of days, or we'll promise to follow up, and it doesn't happen. And then repetitive tasks draining your team. So this one for me, running business development, is frequent, right? Needing to make as many qualification calls as possible. How many of those actually connect? What was the consistency of them having connected? So I think if we boil these down and look at them in a kind of more microscope view, I've mentioned we'll call you back. How does a voice agent solve that? Well, it can call customers back instantly. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't need to eat, doesn't need toilet breaks. it's there, it's on. Once it's on, it's on. So if you're promising 24-hour customer service, which can be incredibly hard, even with the global team, the voice agent is there. Calls missed. So this is one of the huge ones for me. Calls being missed. That's a sign of missed opportunity and potentially tickets being unresolved. So this allows a voice agent can access your entire knowledge base. You train it in the way that you need it to be trained, whether it's tier 1 tickets or whether it's confirming bookings that are happening. It's incredibly powerful in that sense. And then the last 2 points there, the emails being ignored, customers feel forgotten, like that comes up a lot, especially for myself when I'm phoning Vodafone, for example, needing to get things that dealt with, everything's done via email or a chatbot. I don't feel any human connection. And that voice agent is that bridge between that. I'm not needing to send chase up emails. It's an instant phone call and my problems are dealt with. On the flip side of it, so if we go from the point 1 to point 2, yeah, to the next slide. There we go, repetitive tasks. So this one is closer to home for me. Having done sales development and business development over 15 years, repetitive tasks are just one of the things which is never really a way around it. There's multiple tool stacks that you can implement, but nothing really beats just picking up the phone. And I think in today's age, that's a problem that a lot of companies face when they're pushing outbound, but also handling inbound sales calls as well. And I think the voice agent here is a great step to getting the right people through to your sales team or even through to your customer support team to turning that into actual revenue streams, into real opportunities. So you have things like chasing payments. It could be that you're needing to send calls to confirm attendance like we did today, right? If we had a human do that, that would have taken hours and hours of time to actually put those calls in with maybe not all of you answering the phone. However, the voice agent had a pretty damn good connection rate phoning through to you guys. And I'll be honest, I've listened to a bunch of the responses because I'm always curious about how it operates and how it's working under the different circumstances. And it was great to see some of the responses you guys got. And in actual fact, it turned into some meetings booked for my team because you wanted to move on to that next stage of learning more in detail, specifically for your own use case. So I'll wrap it up with, there are infinite problems that voice agent can fix. It's just about you finding what that problem is and then turning that into how do I utilize a voice agent to create the solution. So with that, now we've framed what problems it could solve, or a couple of problems. I'm going to hand it over to Peter, who is the brains behind how this can actually function for you.
Actually, before we go into that, we're going to go into a little bit of a cheat sheet because we already are getting some questions in the Q&A about in which situations voice agents can be used. Especially there's one question about, is it similar to cold calling? Can I just upload a list of phone numbers and call it? So we actually put together a cheat sheet because what we want you to think of, we want you to start thinking about where you can implement voice agents in the go-to-market function. However, voice agents are not for every single job because some jobs might require judgment. They might require some, like emotional, they might be a little bit sensitive. They might be high stakes and so on. So we put together this list, and again, we will share it with you together with the recording, so that you can take it. But basically, if you say yes to a couple of the questions on the left-hand side, whether it's, is this a repetitive call? Is this something that I have a clear outcome of? Does speed matter? Does timing matter on when I place this call? Does it require just the information that I can upload and not require human judgment to decide what sort of thing to do next? Am I receiving these calls, or do I need to make these calls in really, really high volumes? Would I normally send a templated message to this group of people? And do I typically put a human on this, or is this typically like a chatbot email sort of thing? So if you answer yes to a couple of these, like 2 or 3 of these, yes, that's a voice agent job. Where we do not recommend you use a voice agent just because of the sensitivity of different markets and because it's a new technology. It's if the goal is complex or strategic and you need actually a human to figure out what to do next. If the process is undefined, because you cannot prompt it if you don't have like a definition of what it needs to do. If it's a one-off or a low volume, or if it's a high impact call. So we definitely don't want voice agents negotiating contracts or pricing for you. Maybe you want to test it like that, but we do not recommend you use it for such, high stakes, low volume calls, or if there's any sort of emotional or sensitive conversation. So it's up to you. It can be used in any way, but it's up to you to decide how do you use the voice agent in a way that really makes your job easy, and that actually the clients are gonna be responsive to it. And to make it even easier for you, we are putting together a library on our website, and we will share the link with you again after this call. So in here, you can filter by industry and call direction, and you can see what sort of use cases there are. We are updating this weekly, so every week we're adding more use cases as we get more and more clients telling us about how they would use a voice agent. So you can actually go in here, pick out a use case, see the prompt that you might want to start with, and try and experiment with your go-to-market motion, whether that's on the pre-sale side or sales or support. Okay, and now it's time for Peter. Let's build it live.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you, Vera. And yeah, so we wanted to show you live on the call how easy it is to build a voice agent in 5 minutes. To be brutally honest, you most likely can't build a voice agent in just 5 minutes from scratch. It's going to take a little longer than that, but you're trying to solve or save time, hundreds of hours. So spending a little more than 5 minutes to build a good voice agent might be a sound investment. So I did some prep just so you don't have to look at me typing, because when people are looking at me typing on my screen, I usually make like a million typos in a sentence. So that's why you see me copying parts of the setup. But I do want to walk you through how that setup works, how it looks, so that you understand it's nothing scary. It's actually pretty straightforward. There are some nuances you will have to eventually solve. So let me take over the screen share for a minute here, and let's hope our tech works this time. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen with our dashboard interface, and let's simply start by creating a new voice agent. First, let me introduce the use case that I've picked. The vast majority of the use cases that we hear from our customers that are testing, or even internally, are about qualification. You have high volume of leads that are interested in your service, and you want to make sure humans only touch the relevant ones. So you might use a voice agent to pre-screen, pre-qualify your leads, right? And considering one of my first jobs during high school when I was like 15, I actually joined a call center and I was tasked to call people and offer them bamboo socks. So I've decided to imagine a company that does this a bit differently. Instead of forcing people to actually call and offer bamboo socks, let's have a voice agent do that. So let's call him Bamboo-licious. See, typo already. For the sake of simplicity of this demo, I'm going to choose an inbound direction. I'm going to get back to that, but it's easier to test in this environment and to show you how the call would actually look like if we go with inbound. So we're building a voice agent that picks up the calls of prospective buyers of your Bamboo Sock subscription. We can set a maximum call duration. Let's say, I don't know, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. No, let's do 10. That should be enough. This is just a fail-safe, so your customers won't spend hours trying to get the voice agent to speak to them about stuff unrelated to your business, right? But here comes the important part: conversation behavior, voice agent prompt. And this is the same thing as if you're prompting your ChatGPT app or Perplexity or whatever is your LLM of preference. You need to give it a prompt describing what and how you want your voice agent to do. Right, so let's make this larger so we can see it. There is no one way to do this, no one right way. Everybody has their style. I imagine all of you prompt differently. But there's a pattern I like to follow, and it's also outlined in our documentation in terms of structuring the prompt. So I always start with identity. You're working in Bamboo-licious company, calling potential customers over the phone, offering bamboo socks. Well, you're actually not calling potential customers, but you're picking up calls from potential customers over the phone, offering bamboo socks. You're pleasant, friendly, self-representative. I've not rabbits, habits, right? Then we have a section. So this just outlines for the LLM who they should act as. Then we have two sections, which, to be honest, I usually copy paste. They're mostly universal, but you can tailor them to your needs. And they define the style and some response guidelines the voice agent should follow. These are very universal, asking the LLM or the voice agent to be concise, because LLMs love to speak. They will speak for hours if you let them. So we usually ask them to be concise, avoid multiple questions and single response, just some basic information about how they should behave. But here comes the important part. And that's the task the voice agent should do. So those 4 sections are in all my prompts. You will see them in most of the templates we're preparing. And this is the most important one. So basically here you tell the voice agent what you want it to do, how they should navigate the conversation. Again, this is a very simple use case, mindful of the time we have. We could spend hours here trying different cases and more complex use cases, but I just wanted to give you the 5 to 10 minute brief here. So first you ask the voice agent to say hello. In some countries, you need to let the caller know they're speaking to an AI and the call is being recorded. So we put that in and ask them whether they're calling about our amazing bamboo socks. If the customer says yes, we follow. If the customer answers no, apologize and end the call, right? So let's say they said yes, they want to talk about bamboo socks. Now you want to explain to the customer that you have a few questions that you want to ask them before making sure they are contacted by a sales representative. And here we just have a set of 3 questions: whether they've ever tried bamboo socks, how often they replace their socks, and how many colors of socks do they have. Simple as that. You just want that initial qualification done at scale so that when your sales representative is talking to that customer, they already know the basic information. They can prioritize. If someone is changing socks every week, that might be a good customer. If I'm selling sock subscriptions, right? We should do this as a subscription. Everything is a subscription now. So this is my voice agent prompt. Then we have 2 sections: call transfers. That gives you the ability to, at some point, transfer the call to a human agent. We're not going to go into that right now. Again, for the sake of complexity and time we have, let's start by looking at hangups. So you want your voice agent to be able to end the call for the case where customer decides to stay on the call unnecessarily, or just speak to them for hours. So you can give it instructions when they should end the call, right? So in our case, once the customer answered all the questions that you need answers to, thank them for their time, and end the call. Data capture and output. This section is very simple and very important at the same time, because it doesn't matter that the voice agent call happened unless you know what happened on that call and you can react to it in the system of your choice. So in here, we're basically defining what information we want to pull out from the call. So in our case, I'm curious whether the customer ever used bamboo socks before? Basically, this ties to the list of questions, right? Have they used bamboo socks? How frequently they replace their socks? The number of colors they have, maybe even colors. For simple properties that are obvious, you don't need to define how the voice agent should pull the information. They will be able to do so automatically and autonomously. But if you have more complex properties that you want to extract from the call, or you have some specific needs for your data extraction, you can also include instructions here. So in this example, customer lists color options instead of just saying the number of colors they have, then list the option, that count the options, use that in the number of colors, and the colors will then be populated by the list if they give you a list. In call results endpoint, this is for connecting your voice agents with your other tooling. So you want to collect this information somewhere, whether that's your CRM or some internal system or your e-commerce system. This is highly configurable. There are much more complex options how to collect this information, how to connect voice agents with the outside world through APIs. But for the sake of this presentation, let's just use a very simple tool that just collects all the requests that come to that particular endpoint and show us the data. This is just so I can show you how the data would be flowing in and what happens with the data after that. Good. So we have the behavior set up. Now we just have to choose a provider and a model. There are nuances regarding when to use which provider, when to use which model. We'll get to them later on. So let's just say for this particular use case, it's relatively simple. And for simpler use case, you want a simpler or smaller model. So let's go with GPT-4.1 mini because the smaller the model, the faster the reply. So the more natural sounding the conversation is, the larger the models, the smarter they are, but it takes them a bit longer to produce an answer. So if I had a very complex use case, I would probably use a larger model, but for this, I believe GPT-4.1 is fairly sufficient, maybe even overkill. Okay, that's it. Yeah, we can pick a voice. I'm gonna go with Jessica. There is a little list of voices you can choose from, but let's not get bothered by that right now. So we have our voice agent saved. It's called Bambulicious, and now we just need to make sure that it picks up the calls, right? So I have empty phone number here. Vera, Josh, can you confirm that you can see the call flow designer now? Because I'm not sure if my screen share switched.
Yes. I
Yeah,
can see
okay, cool.
Slovak number.
Yeah, okay, so this is my empty number that I now want to configure. And on top of all the options we had before, you can now actually choose a voice agent to be the one to pick up the call. So let's say our Bambulicious voice agent should be picking up the calls for this phone number. Simple as that. And now when we call this phone number, our call should be picked up by the voice agent we've just defined. So let's try that. It's always super scary to try those in real time, right? So I have my Bambulicious contact created. This is the phone number that you saw before, and let's test it. Well, yes, I am.
We have the same issue with you as with me. It's the AirPods.
Okay, so you don't hear the call, right?
No.
Damn. And how did you fix it?
I just removed them and decided to just speak without them.
The world becomes a bigger place when you take your AirPods out.
Good. So you should hear me now, and shortly you should also hear our Bamboo-licious voice agent. Let's try it.
Hello, I'm Blake from Bamboo-licious. I need to tell you that I'm an AI and this call is being recorded. Are you calling regarding our amazing bamboo socks? Hi there. Just to check, are you calling about our amazing bamboo socks?
Give me 1 second, because now that I don't have my AirPods, I have my window open, and that means there are noises that are screwing up with the voice agent. Live presentations, right? One more go.
Hello, I'm Blake from Bamboo-licious. I need to tell you that I'm an AI and this call is being recorded. Are you calling regarding our amazing bamboo socks?
Well, yes, I am.
Great to hear. I'll ask you a few questions to learn about your needs and challenges with socks, and then see if Bamboo-licious is a good fit to help. If it is, I'd love to connect you to one of our amazing sales representatives who can guide you further. To start, have you ever tried bamboo socks before?
No, I haven't.
Thanks for sharing. How often do you usually replace your socks?
I'm sorry, I don't understand that question.
No problem. I meant to ask how often you get new socks to replace old ones. Like, do you buy new socks every few months, once a year, or only when the old ones wear out?
I'd say twice a year.
Got it. And how many different colors of socks do you usually have in your wardrobe?
Well, let's see, there's definitely black, and then I mix in blue and beige sometimes.
Thanks for that. So you have mostly black and sometimes blue and beige socks. I appreciate you answering my questions. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye. Good. So now that it handled the call, and I'm actually going to put my AirPods back in so that you hear me better.
Okay, amazing. More sharing to do?
Yeah, just give me a second. Good. So the output here, just to show you, you would typically connect this with the help of our amazing tech consulting team. You would take this output and store it in your CRM or a tool of a preference. But basically what you can see here, after each call, I get the information that happened on the call. So the customer doesn't have an experience with bamboo socks. They change their socks twice a year. They have 3 different colors. These are them, right? You take that information, store it, and suddenly it's available for your sales representative when they're speaking to the customer. Simple as that. Now I would hand over to Josh, because he's the one who actually went through this process with me as my very first customer for our voice agents. So if he could share honestly how that went.
I promise to keep it civil and polite. No, I'm kidding. The experience from the offset, I think you guys have just seen how that workflow is built. And I think before we got to that stage, Peter reached out to me and said, what problems are your team having? Now, when you run any type of sales team, multiple different things come to your head, problems that we could solve, how do we do it? But we wanted to honestly test it out on something that we weren't currently utilizing, i.e. opportunities left on the table. So we had a data set through prioritization that just didn't get a huge amount of love, if I'm being honest. There was emails that were sent out, but there were never really any phone calls put in to a specific data set that we had got from an inbound motion. So Peter and I sat down, we mapped out, how do we identify these people? And then most importantly, how do we go about speaking with them? What are the prompts? What do we want it to do? So the prompt from my side was fairly simple. I would like it to pre-qualify before it gets to my team. Uncover what the needs are, what are the expectations, what do success metrics look like if they were to deploy a solution like CloudTalk. And then from there, ultimately move into getting them booked in with one of our reps. So we set about that happening And the results, honestly, were unexpected from my side. Like I knew it was going to yield some positive results, but being, as Peter said, the first customer from our side utilizing this, was unsure where it would lead, what would the quality be. So I was super pleased when I was looking at the stats to see that we were on average booking 16 new meetings for my team per week by doing this. We had a 10% pickup rate, which when you look at outbound standards is somewhere in between sort of the middle to higher end of answer rates or connection rates. And ultimately yielding successful closed won business in MRR terms for us here in CloudTalk from something that was effectively money left on the table, was opportunities or leads that we were unable to get through. But I think the key thing that we should all ask ourselves is when envisioning how you could use a voice agent, you first want to frame what the problem is you're trying to solve. From our side, it was how do we show love to leads that weren't getting that human touch or that high touch sequence or cadence that some of our other data sets were receiving. From there, we then set about building the actual voice agent, and the results speak for themselves. So I think in summary, frame what your challenge is, and off the back of that, build the success metrics. So what does success look like? So in our case, it was undetermined because we were the first, which is always exciting, one small step from out. And we can see the results here being 10%, 16 meetings booked. We now, for my team, utilize this in many different streams that we have. And we now benchmark it against what should be the pickup rates that we want to see, how do we adjust it, and then what the yield is in terms of ROI off the back end through opportunities built. Story time with Josh is up. I'll hand you back to Vera.
Yeah, I fixed my screen sharing just on time for me sharing it again. Great. So let's just quickly go through the roadmap. We have a bunch of questions, so we'll go through the roadmap and then we'll jump straight into questions, and the quiz, of course. But Peter, wanna go through what's next? Yeah,
absolutely. So just a brief reminder for those of you who haven't seen our product yet, you should. So far, we've covered inbound and outbound calls. We can transfer the call to an agent or a group. You can use tools which allow you to connect your voice agent to an outside world, allowing them to communicate through APIs with your CRM, your ticketing system, your e-commerce, whatever you're using, and ability to attach a knowledge base, internal guides, FAQs, anything the voice agent might need to give better response to their customers. What we're working on now and in the near future is deeper integrations with the tools that CloudTalk is integrating with. So making sure all the calls are exported, including the extracted information that I've shown you. So you know in your CRM what colors of socks I wear. And providing analytics so that you can see the performance of your agents, how much time they spend talking, how many successful calls they've made, everything relevant to the voice agent performance. We're also working on real-time multilingual support, real-time meaning real-time switching in this case, where the voice agent can actually switch between languages during the call. You don't need a separate voice agent for each language. The voice agent will be able to detect even language change during the call. So let's say I'm reaching my limit with my English knowledge and I want to switch my primary language. If the voice agent supports it, I can do so during the call. Voice agents in call flows. So what I've shown you, the voice agent picking up the call when I call that particular number as a single step. But what we're building is that there can be multiple steps after that. So the voice agent can act as a receptionist or a conversational IVR, collecting some information and then routing the call to different places, different groups, voicemails, whatever you need, even different voice agents. Contextual transfers means that when the agent is receiving a transfer from a voice agent, they will also see all the relevant information from the call, the voice agent call that already happened, making sure we pass everything and reducing any need for repetition, making sure the agent has all the context they need. And voice agents in CT dialer, which I'm particularly happy about and looking for, so that we can use our CT dialer functionality, which is built to run campaigns, mass campaigns with lots of contacts, which you're trying to reach as fast as possible, either through a hybrid mode where the voice agent takes over part of that conversation and then hands off to an agent running that campaign, or fully autonomous where the voice agent simply run the whole campaign for you. This is our short to midterm roadmap of what's ahead.
Great. And just to add here, because most of the people here on the call don't know, because this just came through, the CloudTalk dialer, that AI dialer that also includes parallel calling with up to 10 lines, is officially live. So if you are interested, just go to your CSM or your AE, or just reach out to us and we'll be sure to demo it to you and explain how it works. Basically, you can call up to 10 lines at once. It automatically detects voicemail and it skips it and just connects you to the first live conversation. So that's another exciting thing, but we just wanted to keep this to voice agents for now. Okay, so with that, let's just go to our quiz. So it's going to be a really simple survey, basically, where you will need to join with your job title, and then the other question is, how would you use a voice agent, or what sort of problems you're trying to solve with a voice agent. So yeah, join the Slido over here and we can begin. And after the webinar, we'll just collect all the answers and we'll do a little prize draw, and we'll contact a couple of you with 100 minutes for voice agents so that you can test them out yourselves. Okay, we can see people are responding. I need to see that number go up. I can see a lot of you here. So so the way you can join is you just scan the QR code here or go to slido.com, enter this number here, and then you will be part of the survey. We can see a lot of salespeople on the call. Let's just wait a couple minutes. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I can see that a lot of you are joining. This is the first question, and then we have the second question, which is going to be what problems you're looking to solve. We can see the answers coming in. We'll continue this in the background. We'll continue running this. Make sure that you add your answers so that you can enter the prize draw. And we'll jump straight into the Q&A because we don't want to overrun. We are aware of the time. So just continue answering. And in the meantime, let's jump into the Q&A. So Peter, multi-languages, you already mentioned this. How will this work? And also we had a bunch of questions about in which languages is it going to be available and where people can call, as well as what sort of accents they can pick. So can you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah. We're currently actively building and testing the multi-language functionality. Where we are so far is the real-time multi-language switching, which I've already mentioned and covered. We're now testing and making sure that all the supported languages that our vendors claim that we can use are actually working effectively and well. But I can confirm all the major languages such as English, Spanish, French, German, Italian. What am I forgetting? What am I forgetting? Portuguese, maybe Dutch. They all work. You can switch in real time. And for most of them, there's also ability to switch dialects, let's say. So you have American English, you have British English, you have Australian or Canadian English. I know there are some nuances for Chinese language. We're looking into that. Plus, with the extended voices selection that we're building, you can also pick accents that your voice agent will have. So we're making everything possible. We're doing everything possible to make sure that you can pick the language and accent that best fits your needs and preferences.
Okay, now about triggering a call. We already had a couple of questions about whether a call can be triggered via a list, as well as how, like, what are the other types of calls that types of triggers that we can be used with voice agents. Can you go through that a little bit?
Yeah, this is rather a complex topic, so I'll try to give you the brief. So basically, triggering the voice agent call, outbound call, happens through an API. And it really doesn't matter where you call that API from. So whether you're using HubSpot or Zendesk or any other CRM ticketing tool, whatever, you can trigger those kind of, I call them workflow calls. So if something happens in my CRM, then make a call. So there are workflow builders in all the major CRMs and help desks and e-commerces where you can say, when order status changes or a lead enters this stage in a CRM, or a support ticket is solved, then make this API request and trigger the call. The other type of calls is a campaign call where you have, okay, this is my list of 10,000 contacts. Here are their time zones. Let's call this list as fast as possible. That's what I meant when I say the CT dialer integration, where you can import your lists and run through them. So it will be supported natively once we do that. In the meantime, we have workarounds with either Google Sheets or any data source you have where we can use integration tools such as Zapier, Make, whatever workflow tool to go through that list and trigger the calls. Our tech consulting team is ready, trained, and happy to help with all those triggering nuances you might come across.
And now that you mentioned tech consulting, we also had a couple of questions about how the process would be to try an AI voice agent, and would someone from CloudTalk help you? Absolutely, we have the tech consulting team. So if you're interested, we can connect you so that you can book a call and they can walk you through the setup and help you out with it, as we're working to make it even more user-friendly in the future, because we have a bunch of things that we want to do to make it even easier to get it set up. Okay, next one, what actions can be triggered off the back of a call?
Yeah, again, any action that the tool you're using supports. So it can integrate and interact with your CRM as long as they have API. You can update records. You can use CloudTalk API to send text messages. You can use emailing service to send emails. So sky's the limit here. As long as the tool you want to interact with has an API, the voice agent can interact with them.
Perfect. And we are aware we have many questions. We'll try to put together an email with all of these questions clarified for you that we will send after the webinar. Let's just go through one last question, and then we'll wrap it up so that we can let everyone go off with the rest of the days, because we're already over time. So what would an AI voice agent do if the person on the other end of the line doesn't want to speak to AI?
Oh, that depends on your preferences. What we usually do is enable call transfers, so that in the transfer prompt you say, like, if the customer asks to speak to a human or a representative, you automatically transfer the call to your agents via group transfer or agent transfer. if you have agents available to pick those calls up. If not, you can prompt it in a way that it A, tries to persuade them that they're actually helpful and they can solve their issue, or B, end the call politely.
Amazing. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. I'm so sorry that this took 5 minutes longer than we promised. We see, again, so many questions, so we'll gather them all and we'll try to put together an informative email or a one-pager that will answer all of them for you. You can expect the email to reach your inboxes sometime tomorrow. We'll need some time to gather everything together with the recording. If you would like to book a one-on-one session with someone on our team, please feel free to already contact product marketing at cloudtalk.io. That's product marketing together at cloudtalk.io, and I'll make sure to forward your email and request to the right team. That's it for now. I think we had one more about the differences between providers and models, but we'll make sure to include that one in the write-up. That's it for now. Thank you so much for joining again, and thank you so much for all your interest about this topic. See you next time on our next webinar. We hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you all. Have a good
Thanks
one.
all.
Bye-bye.